Part 1 of Outside the Prison. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Carolin. Outside the Prison by Richard Harding Davis. Part 1. It was about 10 o'clock on the night before Christmas, and very cold. Christmas Eve is a very much occupied evening everywhere, in a newspaper office especially so, and all of the 20 and odd reporters were out that night on assignments, and Conway and Bronson were the only two remaining in the local room. They were the very best of friends, in the office and out of it, but as the city editor had given Conway the Christmas Eve story to write instead of Bronson, the latter was jealous and their relations were strained. I use the word story in the newspaper sense, where everything written for the paper is a story, whether it is an obituary, or a reading notice, or a dramatic criticism, or a descriptive account of the crowded streets and the lighted shop windows of a Christmas Eve. Conway had finished his story quite half an hour before, and should have sent it out to be mutilated by the blue pencil of a copy editor, but as the city editor had quite appeared at the door of the local room, as though looking for someone to send out on another assignment, both Conway and Bronson kept on steadily writing against time to keep him off until someone else came in. Conway had written his concluding paragraph a dozen times, and Bronson had conscientiously polished and repolished a 3-line personal he was writing concerning a gentleman unknown to fame, and who would remain unknown to fame until that paragraph appeared in print. The city editor blocked the door for the 3rd time and looked at Bronson with a faint smile of skeptical appreciation. "Is that very important?" he asked. Bronson said, "Not very," doubtfully, as though he did not think his opinion should be trusted on such a matter, and eyed the paragraph with critical interest. Conway rushed his pencil over his paper with the tip of his tongue showing between his teeth, and became suddenly absorbed. "Well, then, if you are not very busy," said the city editor, "I wish you would go down to Moyamensing. They release that bank robber Quinn tonight, and it ought to make a good story. He was sentenced for 6 years, I think, but has been commuted for good conduct and bad health. There was a preliminary story about it in the paper this morning, and you can get all the facts from that. It's Christmas Eve and all that sort of thing, and you ought to be able to make something of it." There are certain stories written for a Philadelphia newspaper that circle into print with the regularity of the seasons. There is the first Sunday in the Park, for example, which comes on the first warm Sunday in the spring, and which is made up of a talk with a park policeman who guesses at the number of people who have passed through the gates that day, and announcements of the repainting of the boathouses and the near approach of the open-air concerts. You end this story with an allusion to the presence in the park of the one-faced children of the tenement and the worthy working men, if it is a 1-cent paper which the working men
Sample complete. Ready to continue?